Hi, welcome to People from Cleveland Are Dope. I'm excited. We have an interview tonight with my good friend, Dr. Nikita D. Patterson.
Hey,
Nikita is, hi, Nikita.
hey, what up?
Good to see you.
I know it's the best way we can see each other since we live so far apart.
I know, but think about this. We got to see each other in person twice this year, and I don't
All
know when the
right.
last time that was that happened.
I know that's right.
So it's been a good year for that reason alone. Um, so we've known each other since seventh grade, and
Yes, seventh grade, Miss Baker's class.
uh, Mr. Iskovic, is that his name? Mr.
I
Iskovic?
remember Miss Baker. I don't remember
Okay.
his
So I
class.
think social studies too.
Okay.
But yeah, so
What was
now Dr. Patterson is a professor in the math department at Georgia State University
this?
and is also the author of a great book called Office Hours, The Pookie Chronicles. And we'll get into that title later.
Yes.
But welcome. And Nikita is from Cleveland and she's dope.
Yeah, because Cleveland people from Cleveland are dope.
Exactly. So let's go into a little bit of your background and growing up in Cleveland and being from Cleveland. What neighborhood are you from?
Neighborhood. Okay, so I am from the east side of Cleveland because Cleveland is pretty much east west, right? So
Pretty
we grew up on
much.
the east side, and I lived off of Kinsman, which is its own little area in and of itself. It's also called, I don't know if you know this, it's also called Mount Pleasant.
Yes.
Yes, and the nickname is the Grill. Because there used to be a restaurant up on Kinsman called the Kinsman Grill. I think that's why they called it that.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Um, well, I grew up off of Harvard and they used to call it the yard.
Yeah.
So not too far from each other.
And
Not
not
too
too far, but kind of different experiences with those two neighborhoods.
just a
Kinsman
little.
Harvard. You remember the Kinsman Harvard wars or whatever in high school?
Oh my gosh.
They used to fight. Anyway,
Our
back
little
to,
neighborhood battles.
yeah, nonsense. Okay.
Oh, silly. Okay, so what about your parents? Are your parents from Cleveland too?
They actually are. Both of them are from Cleveland. Now, my grandparents are not. My grandparents are both from the South, but my parents were both born and raised in Cleveland. Mhm.
Okay, all right. So Cleveland is deep in that blood.
Yep, most definitely. They both grew up on the east side also, but like my daddy went to East High and my mother went to Glenville. No, she didn't. No, that's a lie. She went to Collinwood.
Okay.
I don't know why I pulled
Ooh,
Glenville.
that,
Yeah, she went to
that's
Collinwood.
another rivalry. You don't want to get
Yeah,
those two mixed up.
I know that's right. I know. I don't want to hear from no tar blooders. So,
Uh, okay, so tell us a little bit about your educational path and then your
educational.
career path. Yeah.
Okay. So I went to high school and I went to John Marshall High School. We were the lawyers,
Go
and
lawyers.
I was a lawyerette, pom pom girl in high school. Yeah. And then
They won all the awards too, by the way.
yes, we were the bomb. We were the bomb. And then after high school, I was salutatorian of our class by less than like a tenth of a point or something crazy.
We were all so crushed.
I
I
know.
mean, I'm sure you were, but we were right there with you.
I know. And as black as Marshall was, and as black as Cleveland is, the valedictorian was white. She was cool. She was a cool white girl, but we just, how folks are. We rooting for everybody black, right?
Yep, exactly.
So,
Yep, we sitting there with our arms folded, like.
right. So after high school, I went to Spelman College in Atlanta. I actually was a dual degree major. I majored in chemistry at Spelman, and then I got a bachelor of chemistry from Spelman, and then my other bachelor's was from Georgia Tech, Georgia Institute of Technology, and that bachelor's is in chemical engineering.
Okay. So
and I have a minor in math.
2.
Yes, that's 3 degrees. No, the minor, you don't get another degree.
Not for the minor, but.
Yeah, but that's the first 2 degrees.
Okay, the first 2.
Yes. And then I did a master's at Clark Atlanta University.
Okay, 3.
Yes. And then I did my doctorate at North Carolina State University.
Okay, 4. I have 4 degrees. Come on, Wendy, you're so fun.
I know, I just don't walk around going, I have 4 degrees. I have 4 degrees and new boobs. Yeah, I'm not that one. Yeah, Wendy's a mess. And I watch all the Housewives, so don't get me started. So I was a NASA scholar. We were called the Women in Science and Engineering Scholars Program. And they funded, us doing this dual degree. It was a big deal. It was a really big to do. You had to be from a city that had a NASA facility, and there just so happens to be a NASA outside of Cleveland. Back then it was called Lewis Research Center, but now it's called Glenn Research Center. So little known fact, there is a NASA in Cleveland, right by the airport. Yes, and that's how I was fortunate enough to go to Spelman. Because otherwise, I probably would have been at Ohio State or OU or somewhere. Yep. And I had been I got accepted to Harvard, Columbia. I don't know if you know all of that, but those places were really expensive and they were not full rides. And my parents were looking like, ooh, 50% of, at that time.
50% of a lot is a lot.
A lot is still a lot, yes. So Spelman was a full ride, room, board, books, and a job at NASA every summer. So it was the ultimate package.
I would have taken that deal too.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I just had to keep a 3.0 the whole time I was there to keep the scholarship.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that was no problem.
I wouldn't say that. Freshman year was a breeze. Sophomore year, first semester was still a breeze, but yeah, that organic chemistry started kicking in and all the upper level like Calc 2 and 3 and physics and all that. When it started really hitting in, it got a little tough, but I kept the scholarship. So yeah.
So when you first got into undergrad, was it your desire to be an engineer? Or did you want to do?
Did I want to do what?
Did you want to do something else? Did you want to be an engineer?
Honestly, I didn't really know. And so of the choices on the application for the NASA program, I did like chemistry. I liked Mr. Hohertz's class. So I chose chemistry, chemical engineering, and I had read a little bit about it. So I was like, I might want to do that. But honestly, being in the program, the mathematics is what really spoke to me. Like that, the chemistry, I was good at it, but the mathematics behind it is why I was able to do the chemistry. And so when I did my graduate degrees, I switched over to mathematics and math education.
Mm-hmm. And what inspired you to become an educator?
I just thought I really admired my professors, honestly. And I talked to the scholarship director, Dr. Faulkner, and I said, I want to be a professor. How do I do that? What do I need to do? And she told me, well, you're going to need to go to grad school and you need to leave here. You need to go away. She said, if you want to come and work back at Spelman or anywhere back in the area, it's best if you go away and then come back. So I did. I went away. Well, Clark is still in Atlanta, but I went away to North Carolina State for my doctorate.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And a
And
few
back,
things happened while you were in North Carolina.
yes. Well, before we left, I got married and we moved to North Carolina. My husband was working at IBM and I was at North Carolina State. So we were right there, together. And then we had kids. I had both of them while I was in grad school. I was put on bed rest with both of them too. So I did a doctorate on bed rest with two babies. And when I graduated, my daughter was a toddler and my son was a baby. He was on my hip. They are only 13 months apart. So yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Girl, where's your cape? Because
you know, you know. And then we moved back to Atlanta. And here we are.
mhm.
Different things along the way, but this is home now. Mhm.
Well, that's great. Um, who were some of your biggest influences growing up in Cleveland? Anybody?
In Cleveland. Well, you know what? My teachers, because I used to pretend and play school with my younger sister and my younger brother cousin. He lived with us and grew up with us like a brother. And I would like sit them down with little, books and stuff and teach them and stuff. I guess I always did want to be some kind of teacher or something. So I did really admire some of my teachers from high school. And my mother, she just was grinding at the bank. She started from like operations is what they called it. It's, I guess, a step above mailroom. And she made it all the way up to being a VP. And then she worked for the school district at some point. So I really liked her drive and ambition. And my granddaddy and my grandmother, they were both really big influences in my life. Yeah. So now family and teachers.
Um, so I guess we talked about why you chose Spelman because you had such a great opportunity.
Mhm.
That's like a once in a lifetime thing that comes along. So that's awesome that you were able to take advantage of that.
And I think it's really important for kids to go away for college. Kind of like my scholarship director who told me to go away for my doctorate. I think kids should go away from home for college because if you stay in your hometown, you kind of get stuck. I think they get stuck in that same mindset of just sitting around having, nope, I'm not going to say it. But like, just sometimes it's harder to escape that hood mentality if you don't ever leave the hood. So,
Mhm.
and Kinsman was kind of hood. Yeah, well, I shouldn't say was, it still is. So, yeah, I think it's important to get away, see some new things, meet some new people.
Right,
You know,
right. So what do you tell your kids about your experience growing up in Cleveland versus their experience growing up in the Atlanta metropolitan area?
well, we think they soft. No, just kidding.
You don't know how easy you have
You
it.
don't know how hard it was growing up in the hood. No,
We had to
seriously.
walk to school in 4 feet of snow.
No, I mean, for the kids though, I just kind of encourage them to just go out and see new things, do things. Don't be afraid to go places and meet people and things like that. Um, they know I grew up kind of rough and they've been back home, back to Cleveland with
Mhm.
me before. And we've been to Michigan where my husband is from. And you should see him in the car looking around like, or we're in the neighborhood and they're looking like, I'm here. But yeah, they have to know, yeah, things weren't always great, but we had a strong family, a network. We had what they call a village.
Definitely.
We had support. So it wasn't like, I wasn't fighting my way through crackheads every day, but you know, there were some of that. So, you know, they appreciate what they have and they're trying to do more as well. You know, I think we all want more for our kids than what we had. I think every parent
Absolutely.
does.
Absolutely. So when you do go back to Cleveland for visits, where do you go and where do you like to go eat? Is there any place in particular that you have to have when you go back?
Have to have a Polish boy,
Right.
especially now that I'm eating pork again. I stopped for some years and we were vegetarian for some years, but now that I'm back eating meat and pork, I have to have a Polish boy. And sometimes I have to get a corned beef sandwich because it's not, other places don't know corned beef like Cleveland. You need to have like a Sliman's where the corned beef is that thick, you know,
Right.
it's the best. It's the best anywhere. So yeah, those are the two things I feel like I have to get when I'm there.
Yeah. We always like to hit up Mr. Hero because we have that in California.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to like to get a Roman burger or a cheesesteak. Yeah, I used to love Mr. Hero. I haven't gone there recently. Some things I can't eat anymore because I'm gluten-free. So even corned beef sandwiches, I can't really eat the bread. So I have to eat it with a fork. It's not as fun. And a Polish boy, I have to eat with a knife and fork. It's not as fun. But a
But
Roman
you can
burger,
still have the French fries on top.
yes, and barbecue sauce. I remember my
Right.
first summer, I'm off topic, but my first summer, I came back from Spelman to work at NASA. And a lot of the kids who worked at NASA as interns were from all over. And I invited them over my house. And I was like, you know, y'all are not from here. You got to try a Polish boy. And they were like, what is it? And I'm like, and I described it, you know, the Polish sausage and the fries and the coleslaw, the barbecue sauce on a bun. And they're like, everybody was like, nah, no. But when they tried it though, when they tried it, then they were like, oh man, this is great.
Right.
So, I
There's
also like to
no,
get, yeah.
I was just gonna say there's no food like Cleveland food to me. And even in a big area like Los Angeles, even the Chinese food in Cleveland is better.
It is. It is. I try to explain that to people. It's there's some different flavors. I don't know where the Chinese people are from that come to Cleveland, but they cook different than anywhere else. And I've had all kinds of foods and cuisines and stuff, but there's nothing like Cleveland is a blend of Black folks and Italians and Jewish people and Polish people. It's all kind of food. And so you get exposed to a lot of things. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So is there anything in particular that you missed about Cleveland?
Well, I don't miss the weather, I will say. I do not miss the snow. I guess it's really the people. The people, like I have a lot of family still there. And so I miss seeing them. And of course, my parents are still there. So I miss them. And being on the lake, because there's no water in Atlanta. So I miss being on a Great Lake is just a whole different experience. It's not like living on the ocean where you are, but that Great Lake is something different. It's just, I don't know. I miss that. And
I can dig it.
Yeah. And just actually the size of it. It's nice to be able to get places in 10, 15 minutes. That's not, that's not Atlanta life. I don't know about LA, but there's no ridiculous traffic in Cleveland or, everything's not 45 minutes away,
Right. It's more like you can get someplace in 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah. And it's considered
close to an hour.
Right. So.
Okay. Well, so you have written a book, Office Hours, The Pookie Chronicles.
The Pookie Chronicles.
So tell us what the book is about.
The book is about my college students. I've worked on a handful of campuses and I've I just have some interesting interactions with them. They say, you remember that show, kids say the darndest things, college students say the darndest things. They say all kind of stuff to me and it'll make me laugh. And I would put it on social media. And my friends are like, girl, you ought to write a book. And I was like, oh, I think I will. And I call them my Pookies, or I say, oh, Pookie, such and such and such. So it's stuck. I don't call them that as much anymore since COVID, I think, because COVID changed everything, just everywhere.
It really did.
Yeah.
It's
So
like before times.
so I don't always call them Pookie like directly, but they're still my Pookies, you know.
Sure.
And especially when they do something crazy, then I give them a name like late Pookie or something like that. So yeah. So yeah, it's really a compilation of little stories. I guess you call them little vignettes of some of my interactions with them. Some funny, some not. Some are like, what? I have people going, do they say that? Did they really say that? Yes. And they say worse, Yeah. So it's available
Well, the
on
book is
Amazon and on my website, on my Square site, if anybody's interested. So Office Hours to Pookie Chronicles.
and we gave your book away to our youth group in our Delta Sigma Theta sorority chapter. Our gems got your book, all of them.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, I was very happy to present that to them as
Very
a present, and hopefully they will learn some lessons.
I hope so.
So
honestly, it started out, my chapter of Delta Sigma Theta used to, for May week, we would have, one day was called something the yard, from the house to the yard, I think. And they asked me to speak one year to the parents and the students about, my thoughts on college students or something like that. And I did a presentation called the Freshman 15, which is, it's a take on the idea that freshmen gain 15 pounds that first year. And it was 15 do's and don'ts as a freshman on a campus from a professor's perspective. And so it was things like, do reach out for help, do talk to your professors, do, develop a study pattern and stuff, stuff like that. But then the don'ts were, don't send me goofy emails like this. And I would put it up on the screen and the parents are like, what? And I said, yes, this is a real email that I got from a student. And they would turn and look at their kid like, you better not. The parents were eating it up. The students are like, yeah, whatever. But then after a while, they're listening to it like, oh, wow, really? Because it's from a professor. And that's also part of, the book. Some of it is, this is what they're doing, but parents are seeing it as, this is what I don't want my child to be.
Right.
Like, don't go to college being this Pookie. Right. And that became a thing. Don't be a Pookie.
One of my favorite sections of the book is what happens on the day of the test.
Oh, yeah. They are insane. I just gave a test yesterday.
Why are y'all wearing hats? Why is everybody in class with the hat on all of a sudden?
Yeah. Why this move?
If you give the same
you seen
test
this one?
Everybody.
This move? Are they trying to?
Yeah.
You sit up the whole time, but now it's test day. Or they got to stretch every 2 minutes. Yeah. The ones that really crack me up are the ones who come in test day with questions. The test is in 2 minutes. It's too late. It's too late. You said something about something. I'm like, that's what the review was for. That's what review day was for. Where you been?
I had a question about number 1, number 11, number 36, number 25 on the review. Can you help me out?
Right now? Yeah, I mean, literally yesterday, boy came up to me at the end of the test. He was like, yeah, this wasn't it right here. This wasn't it. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I was having car trouble and I couldn't come to class every day. I said, okay, well, I post the notes every day. Did you look at them? No, I didn't get a chance to do that. I said, okay, well, I posted videos too. I posted video lessons because I do for my online classes, I create videos. So I shared them with my face-to-face students. Yeah, it gives them a little extra bounce, a little extra edge. Like, okay, you missed class, you can watch the video. I said, did you watch the videos? No, I didn't. I didn't. Okay, well, did you do your homework? The homework is online. He said, no, I didn't get to that. Okay, so no, you didn't come to class, didn't do any homework, didn't look at the notes, didn't watch any videos. Did you study with any of your classmates?
No.
No, see, I was like, okay. I
It
said, yeah,
wasn't the test that wasn't it,
I
bruh.
said, yeah, it's probably not going to be a good grade. He was like, yeah, you could just put that one under the bottom, grade that one last. I was like, okay, okay. I already know what it's going to be. And these are the kids who stay until the very last minute. Like the test is an hour and 15 minutes long. I mean, that's how long the class is.
Mhm.
And they have that entire time to take the test. The A students are done in like 30, 40 minutes and out. They're like deuces, turning the paper, they're gone. The ones that B, C students, they might be there, 45 to an hour. Those DNF students, they there to the last second, praying that they're going to remember something in those last 30 seconds. They sitting there like,
Doing nothing.
and I got to sit there with them. Like, look here, boy, if you don't give me that paper, go ahead on. You're not going to remember it. No, you didn't come to class. You didn't do anything. Give me that paper. Get out of here. I know they sitting there like, she said something. I know she said, yeah, I did, but you didn't study. So, oh, yeah, sorry. Don't get me started. I'll go on about them all day.
Oh, but I could listen to the stories all day because they're hilarious. And you keep us in stitches on Facebook too.
Thank you.
I love to see a post from you because I know what's coming.
I appreciate that. And that really is what pushed me. I did the book during COVID, during the quarantine is when I finally, we had a lot of time on our hands because we were all inside. And that's when I went ahead and did it. But like leading up to that, before we went into quarantine, I would be out places and people would walk up to me going, girl, your stories are so funny. You should write a book. I mean, and these are people that I didn't even realize were seeing the stories. And they're walking up to me asking me to give them Pookie names. And I was like, wow, people are really reading this. This is so cool. Because my biggest fear was that nobody would like it.
Oh.
And so that's why it took me, I don't even want to say how long it took me to do the book, but it did. It took me several years actually, because I kept going back and forth on, should I make it serious? Should it be funny? Should it be like my Facebook post or should I make it more like a novel and da 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 da? And then finally I just did it. I just did it, just a compilation of the Facebook stories, and it worked. It worked. And people keep telling me it was funny. And I'm just like, thank you. Really? Every time somebody says it, I'm still like, really? Yeah. Now folks are like, oh, this could be a TV show. It could be a movie. And I'm like, oh yeah. So look, tell me what I gotta do.
Okay. So what's happening? You have something in the works for that? Are you working on anything? Any other derivatives of office hours?
I'm trying, I have still been posting. There are more stories this year. Like during quarantine, I didn't have hardly any stories because we were all online and the students were just not funny. I mean, nothing was funny at that time, right? It was just like, we didn't know where this was going, what was happening. I don't want to talk about COVID, but it wasn't the funniest time. So my stories kind of took a back burner for a while, but now that we're back face to face and I'm interacting with them again, they're cracking me up. And I've been posting more, and I'm getting close to being ready to do a volume 2.
All right.
I was laughing and joking like, oh, the next one is going to be called Other People's Spookies, like OPP, and I was going to get stories from my colleagues and things like that. And people have been sending me stories, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the format or if I'll do another one just kind of similar to this one, but just with more in it. And my cousin is in the TV and film industry, and he's telling me I need to do a show Bible, to try to have something to shop around. But I was like, oh, okay. And I Googled it. And there's a little bit more than what I know to do. So I need some help with that. But yeah, I'm excited. People are saying it could easily be a show or a movie, kind of like how Issa Rae started with The Awkward Black Girl, and it ended up being a book and then the movie. I mean, not the movie, the TV show. Yeah, I'm like, all right, well, let's get it. I'll be Nikita Ray. Issa Patterson, let's do it. Look.
Well, it's definitely off to a great start. What was the hardest part about the writing process for you? Was it deciding on the format, or was it something else? Trying to make sure that the students couldn't be identified or in the stories?
No, I already, when I would put them on social media, on Facebook, I always made sure there was no identifying information. Like sometimes I would change the gender. If it was really a girl in the class, I would say it was a boy, or I might not say a gender at all. I would just say student, so they couldn't be identified. I never said what time of day the class was, or I didn't always say what campus I was on. So I tried to protect the students as much as possible. And so it wasn't that. It was more so, like I said, getting over myself. Like I was just so nervous that people would be like, what is this crap? Or people would think, oh, I saw all of this already on Facebook. Why would I buy it? That kind of thing. And then once I decided to go ahead and do it, I put it all together. But then I was like, okay, so now what? So I went on the Amazon. It's called Kindle Publishing, I think. And they show you how to do it. And if your book is ready to go, it's pretty easy, but mine wasn't quite ready to go. I needed an editor and a graphic designer. She did the cover for me and she made it look pretty. And the editor made it make sense. She, fixed some things. And so I had some good people in my corner, and my kids did the illustrations. So it was a whole effort. I had the family like read it along the way and give me feedback and things like that. So I think by the time it came out, they felt like they had already read the whole thing, but yeah, I would think that getting over myself was the hardest part.
Any advice to somebody who's thinking about writing a book, or even somebody who's thinking about becoming an educator?
If you're thinking about writing a book, talk to other people who have written books. That's what I did. I talked to sorors who have written books. I talked to colleagues who have published, people like that, to find out, how did you do it? What did you have to do? And since I've done it, people ask me the same thing. Well, how did you do it? So yeah, Amazon is easy. You'll get more of the money if you can sell it yourself. You set the price and you get to keep more of it if you do it yourself. But if you do it through Amazon, it's a decent royalties. If you want to be an educator or in life, any career, I think that if it's something that you want to do, you research it, either on the internet or at the library. I'll send them to you at the library, or talk to people who do that and ask them, well, how did you get into it? What do I need to do? And they'll tell you what they did, if it was conventional or not. And, that's really the best. Like, that's your starting place. Talk to some people who did it.
That's good advice. So you have another venture going these days, your podcast.
I
I
do.
ain't trying to be funny, but
Yeah, so that started um one of my line sisters and I, every week after watching certain shows, we'd call each other, girl, da, 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 da. And she would have me on the phone cracking up. And I have her on the phone cracking up. We just on the phone just hollering for like an hour and a half every day. And I said, this is so funny. I said, this could be a podcast. I just threw it out there one day and she said, let's do it. I was like, all right. So then,
and there
like
you
I
have it.
promise, it was like the next week we just got on Zoom and just started talking, and it was so much fun. And then after that, we just kept doing it every week, and we just recap different reality shows or scripted shows, and just and now we just talk about different topics. We stay away from politics, religion, race, but we talk about
Right.
current events or other issues like that. So yeah, and it's pretty cool. It's called I Ain't Trying to Be Funny, but with Keita and Kim, and we're on YouTube. Mhm. It's pretty fun. I mean, we really just sit there and just talk and laugh and crack each other up still, just like we're on the phone, you know.
And I'm right there with you. I'm
I
cracking
love
up.
it. I love
I'm
it.
cracking up right there with you. And I'm thinking the same thoughts that you have about a lot of the people, especially on the reality shows.
Yeah.
And I know when you were doing House of the Dragon,
Dragon Thrones,
Dragon Thrones,
a Game of Dragons,
House of Dragons,
black
Game
folks
of
call it
Dragons.
whatever.
A
Yeah.
lot of times you would point out things that I didn't catch
Oh,
when I watched the episodes. That was awesome. That was
yeah.
great to get your recap
Cool,
about
cool.
that show,
Yeah. And I
which was
mean,
fantastic. If y'all missed it, you gotta watch
yeah,
it.
come on, like and subscribe to our channel. We have a good time. You'll have fun with us. Yeah, we've even had guests on the show. So if you want to come on, Erica, if you want to come on and talk to us about any of these shows that you watch, come on. Just let me know. You
Might have to do that.
come on and chop it up with us. We just sit there because we just sitting there kikiing about it. Now we started out just talking, but we do actually take some notes, like while we're watching the show. Kim takes more notes than I do. I used to really try harder, but then I would miss stuff in the show because I'm trying to, take notes. But so now I
Right.
just watch it. She watches every show twice so that she doesn't miss anything. I just watch it the one time and I try to remember my favorite parts or something like that.
Mhm.
And my daughter says Black people watch TV different. She says we always noticing stuff that's not supposed to be part of the show. you know like we'll be watching the show and go, she didn't even wash her hands. Like that has nothing to do with anything. You just got out of bed and didn't take a shower. They just got to put some clothes on and left. And she's like, that is not part of the story. She's like, that's not relevant to the plot. And I'm like,
I know. I'm always like, why'd they get in the bed or on the couch with their shoes on? What's wrong with them?
right. And I think Black people do that. I don't know. White people may do it too, but Or we noticed they eat the spaghetti sauce and they put the spoon back in the pot. That's irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the movie at all. But we came here, nothing they said, because we sitting there like, we can put that spoon back in the pot. They nasty. So
And I'm always watching to see if that's what's next. Like, are they gonna put the spoon back in? Are they gonna double dip?
I do that on Top Chef and stuff. I watch the chefs like a hawk, and I don't play
Uh-huh.
that on the cooking shows. Yeah, but Kim will notice stuff like somebody's drink will move from here to there because of the editing. Or do you watch Potomac?
Yes.
Did you watch this last week?
Yes.
Candace's hair kept changing. Did you notice? When
No,
she
I
was at
didn't
the
know.
house, Ashley came over her house and they're sitting there talking. And in one scene, Candace's hair is parted on the side like mine. And in another scene, it's parted in the middle. And it's just like, and it just kept moving. I was like, the editing is a mess.
Oh, she didn't like her hair that day.
I don't think so.
She
I
was
think
being self-conscious about it. She probably kept on trying
she
to
probably
fix it.
kept moving it and stuff, but the camera just kept showing it in different stages, and I was cracking up. And you know, it didn't have anything to do with what they were talking about.
No,
Anyway,
like the editors on those shows are
yeah,
like,
sometimes it feels like they're not even trying.
no, like, but they will catch Chris not looking at Mia in a heartbeat.
I hollered. I was like, oh, they messy for that. They so messy for that. She was like, and he was staring at me. He was just looking at me. And then they flashed to Chris not looking at me. And then they did it again, like Chris still not looking at me. I was hollering. I loved it. I'm here.
Or showing Sharice touching Robin's shoulders when they both swore up and down. Nobody had to touch
Swore
her.
up and down. She did not lay a finger on me. Yeah, she actually did. Yeah, hilarious. And see, Kim doesn't watch any Housewives, so I can't talk about this with her. So I need you to come on and talk Housewives with me.
Oh, I definitely could do that.
I need somebody to talk about Love is Blind with me too. Do you watch that?
Oh, I don't watch that one.
Okay. I got a TV addiction. That's another story. So
yeah, same. Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to add or let people know where they can find you again?
Well, my company is MathMind LLC. I offer, let's see, I can move. I'm a mathematics educator. I have a tutoring network. I give motivational talks and I offer professional development under my MathMind umbrella. And my book, Office Hours, can be found on Amazon, as I said, and on my Square site. And then our YouTube channel is I Ain't Trying to Be Funny, ... But. So and that was all from Kim. She would go, girl, I ain't trying to be funny, but, and then she would go on and give her whole, and I would just be rolling. She's like, what you laughing at? I said, every time you say, I ain't trying to be funny, but it's about to be funny and messy. It's usually messy, and it cracks me up. So, yes, I can be found on, I have a Facebook page called Office Hours. And we also have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for I Ain't Trying to Be Funny, but Twitter is temporary. We might be leaving Twitter, but we do have a Twitter.
I know. I have some thoughts too.
Yeah. I don't want to say though, because then it might get political. So I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Right. We'll just see. What happens. Well, do you have any events coming up? You know, I had to slip that in.
See, messy. No, I don't. I did a book signing once. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that was difficult. I published a book during the quarantine, and then I couldn't do any book signings. And people were buying the book on Amazon, but they want it signed. So last year, around October or so, I did a book signing at my friend's wine shop. It's called The Vibrary, where it's kind of like a bookstore-ish, but she has wine, so you can read books and drink wine. It's real cozy, and I love it. And it's near where we live. So she let me host the book signing there. And it was great. And I keep saying I want to do another one, but then we had the Omicron variant sweep through last Christmas or so, and my whole house got sick. So they put everything on the back burner. And now we're all back outside. But now I feel like, I don't know, is it too late to do another one 2 years later? I don't know what the etiquette is for book signings. But if people still need their book signed, maybe I should do another one.
There you go.
I don't know. So I will let you know if I do have another one.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being the featured person from Cleveland. Yeah, I think you're dope. Everybody else will now see Why?
I think you're dope. I love that you're doing this.
You.
I can't wait to see who else you pick because there are some great folks from Cleveland.
There really are. I started a list, and it's longer than you think it will be.
Really? Do you
Yeah,
have Chuck on there? Chuck Chisholm?
I do.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yes, he absolutely should be on there. I have one of his shirts that says Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he is dope actually. So
He re- he really is. Uh,
yeah, that's cool. All right. Well, thanks for having me.
fun.
This was
Of
fun.
course. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And
Yeah,
this
anytime.
has been fun. It's been great. It's been informative. And I just think you have so much to share with the world. So I'm
Thank
glad I
you.
could be a little part of spreading that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
And it's good seeing you, of course.
Good to
It
see you
doesn't feel
too.
like you're so far away.
That's right. That's right. We ought to do this more
We
often.
should. We definitely should. All right, then.
Okay. Take care.
Okay.